All right, so let's start part 2 of building a SaaS using agentic coding. The last video, we basically got a script that generated a video that kind of looked like this. Here's one about glue, but there are some little issues with the video generation process and also some issues with my code. So I do have a to-do MD file, and I'm going to go ahead and first start with convert to TypeScript because all the stuff that's being generated right now is not in TypeScript. So I think starting with this could be a good first thing to do. I forgot to mention TypeScript when I set up the script. So I'm just going to say convert to TypeScript. That should be enough to kind of plan it out and get it going. And by the way, before we jump into actually planning out and describing what we're going to build in this video, I do want to talk about my course. I have an agenticjumpstart.com course. I teach you everything I've learned along the way about agentic coding. I have 12.5 hours of content. I talk about Claude Code and Cursor, all the different features that are a part of both of them, but more importantly, how to actually do successful, efficient agentic coding. I think every developer at this point in time should be using these tools to make themselves more productive. And I just want to kind of walk you along with the things I've learned to make you more productive as well. So go check it out at agenticjumpstart.com. Let's just go ahead and jump into part 2 of this series. So I will kind of babysit this as it's kind of going through. But one thing I did also notice is that when we run the script, it's cutting off early. So like if I look at the script JSON that outputted for this glue video, it stopped like here, formulas include, and then it just stops. So let's go to final and kind of watch that real quick.
Glue works by chains. Formulas glue work.
Yeah, so it just reads formulas right here and then it stops. So I do think there is still an issue with the process of how we need to like build up this thing. And I'm going to go ahead and just like prompt this again over here. I will turn on Super Whisper at this point. I forgot to turn on last video, but I do think it is useful to have turned on. I noticed that when I generate a video, it seems to cut off early and it doesn't actually read out the full script. And I do want to double check something. So I have the audio file here. I want to make sure that it does actually go past the formula sentence.
Natural starch high beans. Formulas include natural.
Okay, yeah. So I'm going to use this as context. I'm going to say, I'm going to drag in this whole run. Notice how the MP3 file is 23 seconds, but the final video is 16 seconds. It's because I don't think we're generating enough videos to cover the full text, the voice. Okay, so I'm going to give it a little bit more information. Also, I'll kind of say, like, look at this script. In the script, notice on line 13, it only says formulas in the video and then it ends early. It's missing 2 other video sections. So I would wonder, do I have 5 videos? This is supposed to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 videos. And we do have 5 videos here. So we could either try to slow down the videos so they will properly align with the script, or another approach is maybe generate more videos. Maybe the videos are too short. They're all 5 seconds each, and those aren't enough to kind of fully cover. Okay. So I could ask AI to kind of like decide which one would be a better approach. I think slowing down the video would make it look kind of weird. So I'm going to basically say, I think the solution is you need to figure out a way to generate more videos and maybe take the full MP3 and convert it to get the transcript first in the timestamps using OpenAI Whisper so that you can actually decide, okay, the first 5 seconds, here's the text, this is what we're going to make a video on. So we can generate more videos. I think we don't have enough videos that cover the full length of the prompt, and that's the issue. So find a more elegant solution to generate the right amount of videos to cover the full script. And if there's some additional reading at the end, if there's some additional audio that doesn't fully align, what you could do is just freeze the last video frame and just let it play out with that very last video frame. Keep in mind that every video that's generated using WAN 2.2 will be 5 seconds. So you can use that in your algorithm to determine how many videos you actually need to generate. Okay, so we got a decent sized prompt here. I think there's enough context for it to figure it out. And what I'm also going to do is we did tell it to convert to TypeScript. So I want to double check that we do have a way to kind of run this. Yeah, let me actually go back to here. I'm just going to say, add a way to run the script directly from my package JSON and pass in the arguments as needed. So instead of having to run like node directly in the terminal, I'm going to say like npm run dev and then like pass in the arguments. Okay, npm run generate your prompt. Okay. So we could try that in a second. I'm going to go ahead and just commit this stuff, and then I'm going to run this as a plan mode, and hopefully you can get more information. Again, I'm putting a little trust into Composer 1.5. Is it the best model? Is it the most intelligent model? No. But I have actually built out like a full-scale RTS game with it, and it's doing pretty well. It's basically one-shotting a lot of stuff. And for some reason, I just like using Composer 1.5. I don't know what it is. I like it better than Opus. I like it better than Codex. And maybe it's the speed, or maybe it's just, it's not so good that I have to keep on iterating on it, and it keeps me in the loop with how the code's evolving. I've noticed that Opus will sometimes take longer and Codex will take longer to run, and sometimes it'll one-shot your prompts, but often, like, unless you're 100% know what you need to prompt for and like you have perfect context written out, you're going to miss stuff, right? You're going to miss, and your business logic is going to misalign with what you need. So I don't know, maybe I'm just coping at this point, but I like Composer. All right, so it's building out the plan now. Let's just go ahead and read through this real quick. The generated video with 16 seconds is shorter than the audio because segment count is correct, but WAN 2.2 fast WAN may produce videos shorter than 5 seconds. 3.2 seconds each at 480. Okay, is that true? Are the videos actually shorter? I could actually try to play one of the videos and see like how long is this video. Oh, it is 3 seconds. Okay. So I guess that was a misconception. I shouldn't have said 5. GPT spits out word count, not by actual audio timing. Segments don't align 5 seconds. FFmpeg trims output to the shortest input, so when the concatenated video is less than 7 seconds of narration are lost. Okay, solutions. Can I zoom into this? I can't really zoom into these diagrams, so it doesn't really help us, but let's see. Response includes segments, start, end, text for each phrase, current time-based segment splitting, replace the current GPT-only split with 2-phase approach. Phase A compute 5-second chunks from whisper segments. Okay. GPT generates video prompts. Verify handle of, okay. Freeze last frame or remaining audio. You know, I don't think we need to freeze the last frame for the remaining audio. The whole idea of freezing the last frame for the remaining audio, I think this is wrong. I think instead generate another video to finish out the whole clip. And again, the full video length should match the MP3 length. Do not make it shorter or longer than the MP3 voice length. I would just go ahead and modify this plan a little bit. I don't think I want to freeze the last frame. That was something silly I added in. Aggregate whisper segments into 5-second windows. Yeah, so I think we also need to figure out on the script, when we call in the WAN model, is there no way to specify how long the video will be? Like if I go back to WAN over here, let me go to the API real quick, go to Playground. I know when you're generating this, you can specify how many. Maybe you can't. Oh, number of frames. So I guess technically we could figure out a good ratio to make it be 5 seconds. So if you increase the number of frames and also reduce the frames per second, I think you could probably get this to be good. Adjust frames per second for interpol set to false. Let me look at the API. Is there a way to just set frames per second? Yeah, let me just tell it to like try to get 5-minute videos. Reading the API, is there just not a way to create 5-second videos so we have a deterministic way to know how long the videos would be? It looks like there's a way to specify the frames per second and also the total frames. I think you can do some simple math to make it so it's always going to be 5-second output. Okay, number of frames, well, 17 to 161. All right, let's see what it's going to do with the frames per second over here. Number of frames is 120, FPS is 24. So it's just going to make longer videos. I think there's a max of 161, so I think we're within the range. Yeah, so I guess we could build this out and see if this will work. And again, this approach is actually what I do at work too. Like a lot of people I work with do the same approach where we do the initial plan, given as much context as possible, give it the user story, give it as much testing criteria as possible. And this is going to generate a long plan. Now, granted, if the user story is huge, it's going to take you a long time to review this. But I do think just spending time going through the plan, skimming over it, make sure there's nothing that's glaringly wrong because again, you could have prompted it wrong. You could have given it too much context. It could get confused. So reading through the plan and iterating it 1-2 extra times on it can just help it be a little bit more accurate, which is what I highly recommend if you're doing agentic coding. Now, sometimes I will have like multiple chat terminals running at the same time implementing various features, but I think we're going to just run with this and see what happens. So we're going to think of a new video idea. Maybe we can make a video about Rust. Okay, so we're going to say npm run generate, and I'll say an educational video for why people like to code using Rust. Okay, Rustling. Now, I'm going to kick this one off, and I'll cut the video and we'll come back when it's done. This might take like a minute or two for it to finish. Now, I will read through the output. Audio duration is 22.6 seconds. It's about 5 video segments because it did 22 divided by 5, which gives you 4.2 or 3. Rounded up, you get 5 videos. Transcribing with Whisper. Got 4 Whisper segments. Now, I wonder why it didn't... Okay, yes, fine. 4 Whisper segments. Now, I wonder, do I even need to use Whisper at this point? I guess Whisper will give it a more accurate, like, okay, for all the segments, what is it actually talking about? But we'll let it kind of build out, and we can run this video in just a second. Here's the actual like output folder, so we'll see the final MP4 in just a second. Now, I guess while this is running, we could actually start thinking about some future user stories. Looks like it's generating all the videos. Okay, so some things that I do want to convert to user stories. A user shall be able to specify an overall theme or style of the videos. For example, videos made in anime style, or videos made in Family Guy cartoon style, or hyper realistic. Something like that. I just want the ability to specify an overall prompt that's injected into all the segment prompts so that there's like a consistent style on them. Again, this could be like a user story for the future, but I do think it is important to start documenting some of this stuff. We could also say a user shall be able to specify a voice actor, and I'll just say 11. Why can't I spell 11? 11 labs. Voice IDs, and I'll just pick like some of the best. Pick some of the top, I guess. We could have like a woman's voice, a man's voice, a narrator, a deeper voice, a higher pitch, a British accent. Just having some variety that a user can pick, I think, would just make it a little bit better. To use for generating the videos. We also need a user shall be able to include transcripts burned into the video output. So like if you watch TikToks with like the captions, I'll say voice captions. This is built in the FFmpeg, but I think to get them to look nice, that's going to be something even like a separate user story. So a user shall be able to customize the voice captions rendered on top of the video. This one will probably be a little bit more complex. I've tried doing this in the past, and it required me to build like a custom solution. So we'll have to kind of dive into that. But at the very least, just having like some burned in captions on the video would be very useful, and that could allow us to start publishing these shorts. Also, a user shall be able to publish to YouTube directly from the application. Again, this would be like a down the road type of thing in the future, but it looks like it's done. And so now we can go and hopefully watch the final. We should expect it to be 22 seconds. It is 22 seconds, so let's kind of watch through this.
Why do people love coding in Rust? It delivers C-like speed with memory safety, thanks to ownership and borrowing. Fearless concurrency prevents data races. Compiler errors teach. Cargo and crates.io streamline building. Rust targets servers embedded and WebAssembly. Result, reliable software, fewer bugs, and joyful engineering.
Okay. Now, some of the videos, again, I'm using like the cheapest version of WAN, like WAN Fast 480p. So a lot of the videos just don't look good. I mean, like this guy's typing on literally nothing. If you watch this part, he's typing on nothing. Now, again, is this a script? So I think we do have to come back and just verify that the script is close. Let's see. 3 scene showcase servers inside a data center aisle. A laptop screen runs an async Rust. Structure log output streaming. Yeah, I don't know. I'll debug that later. I don't think that's an important part. What I would really like to get done are the captions. So we do have time to at least do the captions. And I think the whole video actually was good this time. So I'm going to go ahead and commit this. We do have some good changes to the generate script. Now, when I'm making to-dos, I do like to say like user stories, because these are usually well thought out stories that I can use versus like technical, we call it like tech debt. I like to call it tech debt or like refactoring. These are things that as I'm looking through the code that's generated from AI, I like to come back through and like maybe clean some stuff up or maybe abstract stuff away to make it a little bit cleaner, make it easier to test, etc. And then just random to-dos up here. Maybe I'll convert these to user stories at some point. But yeah, one thing I do want to do here though is I want to add captions. So we're going to go ahead and say, find a way when rendering out the final video with FFmpeg to add burned in text captions on the video about 2/3 of the way down the screen. Use the default thing built in the FFmpeg, and then later on I'll come back and try to customize those if there is a way to customize them. I won't even talk about the customization. I don't want to confuse it. I'm just going to say use the default feature built in the FFmpeg. Okay, and then I'll just go ahead and plan this one out. Hopefully that's enough. And then what we could also do is I don't want to spend a bunch of time generating a bunch of video segments. So I think allowing a way to specify the total length of the video in the script might be a very cool addition to this. Like right now when we run it, we say generate and we just pass it a prompt, like a high level prompt about what we want. But I think adding like the output target length could be very useful as well. So I'm actually going to kick off another thing here. When running the npm run generate script, I want to add a second argument that allows me to specify the target length of the video. So if I specify a 10, I'm expecting the video to be at least 10 seconds long. If I specify 60, it should be 60 seconds long. Okay, and I'll kick this plan off. That should be pretty straightforward. So let's read through the FFmpeg burned in captions. So the final video is assembled with stitch with FFmpeg, concatenate video segments. Okay. Let's go back over here to switch me. Add SRT generation helper. So we basically pass in the segments and we get an output path. SRT format, modify. Looks like we can pass in subtitles for the positioning. Let's just double check this. Okay, yeah, I guess we can just try it out. Let's just build it and see what happens. Now, what would be interesting to do is instead of having to like keep on hitting WAN all the time, we have outputs. Like we have this stuff already generated. And if I wanted to come back and just like resume something that we've already done just to test out little parts, it'd be cool if like I didn't have to go and like wait another 2 minutes to generate a whole video just to see that the transcripts just don't work anymore. And so I may prompt this to say, hey, like before you run a section of the process, check if the file already exists. And then if it does, like skip it. So like I could potentially just delete final MP4 and then just have it just resume a run ID. So I'm going to kick this one off too. Add in a way to pass in a specific run folder. And what that's going to do is it's going to check first to see if the output file already exists. And if it does, skip over having to regenerate the videos or regenerate the scripts or regenerate the segments. So for example, I can delete final.mp4 and that would skip every single step and just run the FFmpeg step to finally stitch everything together. This will help me faster debug and test the application without having to wait for all these third-party APIs that actually do work. Okay, so I'm going to kick this one off as well, and then we're going to go back to the burned-in text. Because I think having the burned-in text, I'm going to go ahead and just add this, and then we're going to kick off this one when it's done. I might switch it to this mode too so I can actually view. I think having this plan also applied will probably make it much easier to test this stuff. So we can say npm run output. Yeah, I could just do something like this. I think this is good. I'm gonna go ahead and build this one. And then we're gonna go and load up an existing directory. Go ahead and rename this one so I can copy it. And then we're gonna pass in output /. Okay. And then I could delete final MP4. Like we can delete this one, hopefully. Unless there's something else that it added in with doing the burn-in, but I think everything for like Super Whisper and the transcript should be there. Like we have the full transcript. I wonder if we're not actually saving the output though. Now we'll find out. We'll find out. I'm gonna let this finish real quick. Wait, which one did it run? Oh, it just ran that last one. Verify early exit final MP4 exists. Captions SRT. Wow, so it just did it. Okay, so now what we can do is...
Why do people love coding in Rust? It delivers C-like speed with memory safety, thanks to ownership and borrowing. Fearless concurrency prevents data races.
So first iteration, not the best, right? If I go ahead and take a screenshot of this, maybe there's a way to have it just read off maybe 3 words at a time. I'm noticing that the text is very large and it's basically putting all the text of that segment on the screen. Instead, can you limit it to do like 2 or 3 words at a time and then clear it out and show the next set of words? I think this would just be a matter of like the SRT that it generates. It's just going to have to break this up into smaller pieces. All right, let's try this again. I'm going to delete the captions in the final, and then I'm going to go ahead and just rerun that. Okay, let's look at the captions. We got some nice captions here. They're a lot shorter. And if I watch the final now...
Why do people love coding in Rust? It delivers C-like speed with memory safety, thanks to ownership and borrowing. Fearless concurrency prevents data races. Compiler errors teach.
Okay, not too bad. It is a little high, though. I'd rather it be... I don't know. I move it, like, further down. I find the text is still a little high. Can you move it maybe, like... 3/4 of the way down the video. So if you're watching this, I think one good takeaway from what I'm doing in this segment of this part 2 video is when you're coding, find a way so that you can rapidly iterate. Everything that you add into your code, find a way that you can bypass certain things so you can do faster testing, faster iteration. Because if you didn't do what I just showed you with like deleting these 2 files and rerunning it from like a specific folder, it would literally take 2 or 3 minutes. Your feedback loop will become super slow and you cannot iterate fast. And that is key to becoming an efficient software engineer, is like find ways to iterate fast so you're not like sitting there waiting for stuff to run all the time.
Why do people love coding in Rust? It delivers C-like speed with memory safety, thanks to ownership.
That's pretty good. Now, it's not the best burned-in captions. I mean, if you watch TikTok or YouTube Shorts, like there's some really cool animated captions that, you know, make the words highlight when they're being read out, make them grow or pop or like bounce in. Again, we are shooting for the simplest approach first. I would highly recommend start simple and then build upon that, because it's going to be a lot easier to see yourself make progress than like trying to do everything at once. This is useful. Someone could actually make a video right now and pay me money to have a full AI video generated, assuming I can find a way to make the better WAN models. Because right now, like these, you can tell it's AI generated looks bad. It's because I'm also using the cheapest text to video model in the cheapest 480p resolution. So it's just going to look bad. But again, I'm trying to iterate a little bit faster. So this is all good. I'm going to commit this again. And then what we're going to do is, I think we have another plan that we kicked off. And what was this one? When running the npm run generate script, I want to add a second argument that allows me to specify the target length. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and build this one out too. And this will also help with iteration speed, because right now the video that we just made was like 20-something seconds. It's not too long, but I mean, we can reduce it from generating 5 segments to generating 2 segments. Again, that speeds up our iteration speed and it saves me money in the long run of like testing this thing out. Okay. All right. So how do I run this now? It looks like we can specify target seconds. So we're going to try to run it with a new prompt that I haven't done before. Say 10 seconds. I'll do like 12 seconds so it knows it can at least do, you know, I'll do 7 seconds. Let's do 7 seconds. And I'll do like a video documenting World War II or World War I trench warfare. How about that? Documenting the horror of World War I trench warfare. Let this run. This will probably be the last prompt I do for this video. I mean, we made some progress. Again, I want to make this whole series like maybe 30 minutes max per part, so you guys can stay engaged. You guys can learn a little bit. without having to be so invested in watching like a 2-hour session or a live stream. I think it's very hard to follow a live stream too. So I'm trying to make these this series a little bit easier to follow for people who want to learn about agentic coding. But let's just go ahead and let this run. It's supposed to be making 3 video segments. The audio duration is 10.9, so it's a little bit over the 7 that I asked for. But again, that's fine. I'm not looking for exact. I'm looking for just a way to like make it a little bit iteration, a little bit faster. So we'll let this kind of run out, and then we can kind of see how it does. And by the way, leave a comment if there is a particular text to video model you think I should be trying out. I know there's a bunch out there. I just haven't had the chance to try them. I'm looking for something that's not costing like, 20 cents per second of video generation, because that's going to be just not sustainable. Like, no one wants to publish an AI video that costs $20, right? So I need to find a price point between like the video quality is good enough, but it's also not going to like completely break the bank of users, unless they maybe have like a premium or like an elite subscription where they can then access these models. But I want to kind of make it clear that like, hey, these things do cost a lot of money to generate. I guess also leave a comment about the burned in captions. If you have an approach, I already know some approaches. I've done it in the Video Crafter app I made a while back, but it really involved like building up an HTML5 canvas, and I had to go frame by frame in the video and like generate text and have that text animate. It was a lot of work, and I'm hoping that maybe there's an alternative solution built in the FFmpeg or something, so I don't have to do all that custom work. Because then I might have to bring in like a faster language like Go or Rust that can handle doing all these frames, or maybe even look into some type of like graphics card processing so it can overlay this text very fast. Because when I was doing it back in the Video Crafter, it was all CPU based. It was all like Node Canvas. Wasn't very fast, right? And so like when you have a video that's 5 minutes long, it took a very long time to loop over every frame and burn in an overlay. But we'll see. We'll kind of tackle that. It's been like a year since I've done that project, so maybe there's new approaches to kind of easily achieve that. Okay, so it's saving video 2. All right, looks like it's saving all the other videos too. So let's go back to final. Let's kind of check this one out.
In World War I trenches, soldiers endured relentless shelling, mud, disease, gas attacks, and fear. Industrialized warfare defined era's horror and staggering loss.
Okay. So overall, I mean, I need to go and look at the script again. I don't know if it's truly like making some compelling scripts that match the text. In World War I trenches, soldiers endured relentless shelling and disease and gas attacks. Gritty World War I frontline trench at dawn under uninterpreted artillery fire, handheld shoulder height camera tracks along waterlogged duck boards as shells whistle and burst, tossing mud and splinters across sandbag walls, burst infantry and mud crack great coats. Okay, yeah, so I have a feeling the hardest part of this project is going to be figuring out how to make a compelling video prompt. And also making these things be cohesive, right? Having video 1 seamlessly transition to like video 2 without it being like strange. Because I mean, if you go back and rewatch that.
In World War I trenches, soldiers endured relentless shelling.
Like, I don't know why there's a guy with a camera. I wouldn't have had that in a video. I would rather have like people maybe peering over the walls or something.
Disease, gas attacks, and fear.
This whole transition where he had a gas mask on, it transitions to tanks, and then the tanks disappeared.
Horror and staggering loss.
Like, yeah, I don't know about that, but it'll take time. What I've learned about with trying to generate videos and images with AI is that it is very hard to make sure your prompts are written. Like, prompt engineering is a legit thing that you have to get good at, and so I'll probably have to spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to prompt with a particular model so that the output is good and also the storytelling looks good as well. But I think this is a good start. I'm not sure what continuation is here. I think they just added another section so we can have a slow aerial drift over dusk at shattered World War I battlefield. Because like one of them showed the tanks. It started with 2 tanks and it became 1 tank. So I don't know. I think it's just doing a little bit too much. A little bit too much in these things. But I think it's good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just commit this. We made some good progress. And then I'll just go ahead and, yeah, we can just work on some other to-dos. All right, that's about it. But if you do want to check out my agenticjumpstart.com course, this is everything I've learned about agentic coding using Cursor and Claude Code. I have 12.5 hours of content. I teach the different models, how to use them, how to prompt, how LLMs kind of work. And I think it's a very good value, so go check it out. There is a discount code which I'll put in the description below. They give you 15% off. So I think that's limited to 50 users. So act sooner rather than later if you want that discount. Yeah, other than that, have a good day. Happy coding.